Hi, I'm Elke from Painting the Internet, and I want to talk to you today about the Mast Brothers. Now, the reason why I want to talk to you about the Mast Brothers is because about two weeks ago, I was walking around Shoreditch and I came across the Mast Brothers, and somehow I got a really amazing experience from going into that shop. And I couldn't quite make out what was it that gave me such a great experience. And as I started to research, I saw that they were highly successful, but at the same time very controversial. So what I've been trying to do, and what I'm going to tell you about, is what I think are the different elements that the Mast Brothers are using to create a formula that is giving everyone that comes into their shop a really interesting experience. Okay, so where it starts off with is the idea of serendipity. That's one of the components. Why serendipity? It's because Mast Brothers very cleverly uses the location where the shop is located, which is in Red Church Street in East London, at the heart of London's creative scene. It uses its location contextually with what you would expect to find at that location. Because in that street you find a bunch of contemporary art galleries, design shops, really cool fashionable things. And what these guys are doing is that for everyone who walks in that street, you expect to see galleries and these kind of shops, you know. And when you go to the Mast Brothers, you see this really quirky, cool, creative installation in the window. It looks like something of Tracy Emin's, and it's something that when you see it, you're like, what is this, you know? And you're going into the shop and you go in thinking that you're gonna find a gallery, but once you get in, you see something completely different. And whatever you see that different is so confusing or so different from what you would normally expect to find that for the first 2 seconds you're just a bit puzzled, you know, like what am I seeing here? And then once you realize that it's a shop, in fact it's a chocolate shop, then you start to look around and start to look at all these objects, and you start to see how beautifully these objects are arranged. So the first point of serendipity is, what I mean by that is that you use the Mast Brothers using their location where their target audience is walking around very cleverly to give a contextual experience which plays into what the audience would expect to find, but instead of giving exactly that, they give you something else, but which plays with that expectation. And so that is the first impression when you walk in, is really good. Now the second thing is transparency. Why transparency? Well, if you enter the Mast Brothers, you see all these beautiful objects around you, very well arranged, and then you see this big window, and in this big window you see a factory floor. Right? But not like your typical factory floor you would see in any type of factory maybe in your area, but a factory floor that could be used to produce, I don't know, maybe really high quality microchips, or a drug lab with the highest sophistication. It looks so spick and span clean, it looks completely white. And even the people around there, they're walking around in lab coats, you know. So when you first see that, you think like, what is going on there? But then once you realize that all those massive bricks of white objects are in fact bricks of chocolate, and you see them like lying around there, you understand that, oh, that's how the chocolate is made, you know. And then you kind of have this sense of transparency that Mast Brothers is giving you by showing their production process, showing you how exactly they operate. You see exactly what you're paying for, and you think to yourself, okay, you know, I see what I'm paying for, it could be worth it. And so that's the second point, transparency. Now, the third point is this idea of simplicity. Simplicity means a lot of things, but how the Mast Brothers have captured this idea of simplicity is by, let's say, borrowing a lot of the appeal of Apple. So that was my first response. I thought that I walked into an Apple store. Now, why did I think that? It's because everything from the type of materials that they use to display their products, the way they display their products, the colors they used, everything resembles that of Apple stores. And what you get is what you get from Mast Brothers when you walk in there is this sense of simplicity, but not a simplicity which is simple just because it's purely simple, but it feels simple because it's a simplicity with which you're familiar with. You've seen that so many times from walking into Apple shops, and you feel comfortable with it. And you go in there in the Mast Brothers, and then you feel as if you're in a very familiar, simple, easy to digest environment. But at the same time, you're a bit confused, you know. And then when you look at their menu is really simple. The way they give you the products is extremely simple. So they just give you a chocolate for £3 or a whole box for £85. And it feels that there's not much to choose, you know. They make it really easy for you to choose from. And then in the end, I think that captures the essence of simplicity that Mast Brothers gives you.